Hello, mighty companion. This is Earl Purdy. Welcome to Hardcore Course in Miracles here on Facebook Live. We're going to talk about when I am healed, I am not healed alone. When you are healed, you are not healed alone. So we're going to be sharing about healing, continuing our theme on healing. And I want to welcome you to Hardcore. We are going to continue our theme on healing. We had a little technical glitch. I'm back, which means that this is obviously going to be a very powerful class, because usually when I have glitches at the beginning of my class, then that's exactly what it means, that there's something that's very powerful for us to hear. So I'm glad that you're still here. Hope everybody came back. And we're going to talk about when you are healed, you are not healed alone. When you are healed, you are not healed alone. That's lesson 137 in the Course in Miracles workbook, the blue book, which is the Foundation for Inner Peace version of the course. We're going to be on page 261, lesson 137 in the Course in Miracles workbook, page 261. When I'm healed, I am not healed alone. The Course in Miracles is 3 books in one: a text, a workbook, and a teacher's manual. So lesson 137, when you are healed, you are not healed alone. What? When you are healed, you are not healed alone. Okay, so the only guidelines to the Course in Miracles is that you need not believe the ideas. You don't have to accept the ideas. You don't have to welcome the ideas. Some of the ideas you will find hard to believe. Some of the ideas you will find hard to believe. Some of the things that the Course in Miracles says you're going to find hard to believe. So just go ahead and accept that. It'll make your journey through the Course in Miracles a lot easier if you recognize that some of these ideas are going to be hard to believe. Some of these ideas you might actively resist. Some of these ideas you might actively resist. Did I say some of these ideas you may actively resist? Some of these ideas you are going to find, or you may find hard to believe. So let's just accept that some of the things that the Course in Miracles says you are going to find hard to believe. Some of the things that the Course in Miracles says is going to be startling to you. Do you know that you are not being asked to judge the ideas at all? You're not being asked to analyze the ideas at all. I don't analyze A Course in Miracles. I've been teaching and learning The Course in Miracles for 43 years now, and I know that nothing wastes more time as far as benefiting from The Course in Miracles than analyzing it. So I definitely don't do that. So what is it that will make you aware that The Course in Miracles works? What will make you aware that the Course in Miracles works is using the ideas. So when you use the ideas, you'll see that the ideas are true. Another thing the Course in Miracles says constantly is to read it slowly. Read it slowly. Don't read the Course in Miracles like you're reading a novel or a regular self-help book. Let yourself have an opportunity. Let yourself have an opportunity to let the words of the Course in Miracles really sink in. I see all your comments, and I always read all your comments. So just accept, especially if you're new, just accept that I'm going to say some things that you don't understand at first. Okay? And that it's not analyzing it that's going to get you to understand it. But this presentation is especially geared toward people who are studying and reading A Course in Miracles. So we're on lesson 137. When I am healed, I am not healed alone. It's on page 261 in the Foundation for Inner Peace version of A Course in Miracles. So if you have your book and you're able to follow along, I would love for you to do that, because I want to give you some tips about how to read the Course in Miracles so that it would make it easier for you to understand and to accept what it's saying. And I teach in a question and answer format. You'll see what I mean in a minute. So what is the lesson for today? The lesson for today is when I am healed, I'm not healed alone. So when you are healed, you're not going to be the only one that's healed. when you are healed, you're not going to be the only one that's healed. So that idea, today's idea, remains the central thought on which salvation rests. So salvation is your healing. Okay, so the Course in Miracles describes salvation as forgiveness and healing and peace. So what's the central idea? If you're going through a sickness of any type of unhappiness, any type of lack, the Course in Miracles would define that as a sickness, not just a physical illness. Anything that you're feeling in your body that's less than love and less than peace is sickness. So what is the main idea that a person needs to focus on if they want to have peace? Well, the Course says, when you are healed, you are not healed alone. So if there's something that's troubling you right now, tell yourself, when I am healed, I am not healed alone. When I am healed, I am not healed alone. When you are healed, you are not healed alone. You're not healed alone. Next sentence, for healing is the opposite. So what is healing? It says healing is the opposite of all the world's ideas. So if you want a true healing, then true healing comes from thoughts that are the opposite to what the world teaches. So the next thing, if you want to have a healing, the healing is going to require that you have ideas that are opposite to what the world teaches you. If you want to have a healing, what do you have to do? You have to give yourself ideas that are opposite to what fear is teaching you or telling you. So if a person wants a real healing, they need to have ideas that are different from what the world tells us healing is. So what are the world's ideas of healing? Well, the Course in Miracles says healing is the opposite of the world's ideas. So what do the world's ideas dwell on? So when you're using the world's ideas, you are dwelling on sickness and on separated states. So if a person is sick in any way, it's because some part of them is dwelling on the idea of separateness, and it's dwelling on the sickness or the problem, but they're not focused on the healing. So if you are sick in any way, and you are constantly focused in on the sickness, which is a state of separation, then you are thinking thoughts that are the opposite of thoughts that will heal you or heal the situation. So if you have a situation, you know the situation that you're dealing with right now, or the illness, or whatever the physical condition is that's causing you pain right now, if you look at it the way that the world teaches you, you won't have a true healing in that situation. The Course in Miracles defines a true healing as a healing that lasts, that when you've been truly healed, the problem won't come back. If you really solve the problem doesn't ever reappear again. When it's truly solved, the problem never reoccurs. So, what is sickness? So here's a Course in Miracles definition of sickness. Sickness is a retreat from others. So sickness is actually a shutting off instead of joining. Don't you see the truth of that? Whenever you feel sick or unhappy, you do feel like retreating from others. When you're feeling sick, it is a retreat from others because you're not really extending the way you normally extend when you're feeling bad and when you're feeling sick. So sickness and unhappiness is really not a joining, but it's a shutting off of joining. Because when a person is sick, and that's the same as saying when a person has physical illness or a person is unhappy or afraid or guilty or feeling sad, then they don't feel like joining. You feel like separating. So whenever you're feeling sick, do you know what you could tell yourself? Instead of saying, I feel sick, you could say, you know, today I feel a retreat from others. I'm retreating from others right now. I'm angry. I'm upset, or I have a physical illness of some type, which means I am shutting off my joining with others. So what does sickness do? He says, well, sickness becomes a door. So look at sickness as a door. Take a minute to visualize that. Look at your unhappiness or sickness or whatever you're going through that's making you sad or dissatisfied. Tell yourself, sickness is a door that has closed on my separate self. Sickness and unhappiness is keeping me isolated and alone. So what is it that causes sickness? What is it that causes pain? What is it that causes lack and unhappiness? Retreating from others. He says sickness is a retreat from others. So whenever you're feeling sick and you want to be healed, realize that when you're sick or unhappy, you are expressing a retreat from others. You are shutting yourself off instead of joining. And sickness makes you feel isolated, and it makes you feel alone. So the Course in Miracles definition of sickness actually includes what it is that's causing your sickness. What is it that's causing your unhappiness in this situation? What is it that's causing this illness or whatever form of unhappiness you have? Tell yourself that, you know what, right now I'm feeling a shutting off instead of joining. I feel isolated. I feel alone. So when you feel sick, you feel isolated and you feel alone because you've had a door closed on your separate self. So what's another word for sickness? Well, the next paragraph says what? What does the next paragraph say? Sickness is isolation. So when you're feeling sick, another thing you could say would be, I'm feeling isolated and it's taken the form of this illness. I am feeling isolated and it's taken the form of a sickness. I am feeling isolated and it's taken the form of a stomach ache. I feel isolated. It's taken the form of a headache. I feel isolated. It takes the form of what I perceive as some kind of a lack in my life. I feel isolated. Sickness is isolation. What is sickness? Sickness is isolation. Because when you're feeling sick, it seems to keep you separate from everyone else. So if you have a sickness or an illness or an unhappiness right now, you are experiencing a form of isolation. So say right now, I'm feeling isolated and it's taking the form of the problem that I think I have in my relationship. I feel isolated and it's taking the form of this illness or condition that I think I have in my body. I feel isolated. It's taken the form of me thinking I have some type of a spiritual lack or financial lack. I feel sick means I feel isolated. So when I feel isolated and a person feels isolated, it seems to keep them separate from everybody else. And don't you know, isn't it true that when you feel sick or you're going through any kind of pain, doesn't it seem like you're suffering what other people are not suffering? Have you ever had a toothache and the tooth was hurting, but you were the only one in the room that was feeling the toothache? So really the toothache was causing you to suffer what others do not feel. That's what the Course was saying. When you're experiencing sickness, when you're experiencing isolation, when you're experiencing separation, it looks like you're suffering and going through something that other people are not going through and what other people are not feeling. So if you are experiencing suffering in your physical body, if you are experiencing suffering in your physical body, what is that suffering in your physical body really doing on a spiritual level? Well, on a spiritual level, when you are suffering any type of pain or illness, it's giving the body final power to make the separation from everyone and God real. It looks like I'm in this body This body has this stomach ache. I'm feeling the stomach ache. I'm suffering what other people are not feeling. I feel separate because I have a stomach ache and it looks like everybody else doesn't. So I feel really isolated. I don't really feel joined. I don't really feel connected. I feel a retreat from others because I don't feel good. I am unhappy. So what sickness does at a spiritual level is it gives your body the power to make your sense of separation be real. Do you know we're always studying from A Course in Miracles that we are totally joined and totally connected? So if we are joined and we are connected, but you are feeling some type of pain or suffering that it looks like nobody else is going through but you, then that's your body being given the power to make your sense of separation real. I'm going to take this really slow because I really had to ask Holy Spirit if the Holy Spirit really wanted me to tackle this lesson, because this is a very deep lesson, because what it's saying is so obvious that sometimes it's hard for people to really hear what it's saying. In just these first two paragraphs, we've just been given how to release yourself from all sickness and illness and unhappiness. Because the truth is, when you're feeling sick, when you're feeling unhappy, when you're not feeling comfortable in your body, it's giving your body the final power to make the separation real. Why? Because it looks like you are experiencing something that nobody else is experiencing. And so if you are experiencing a stomach ache and nobody else is experiencing the stomach ache, well, certainly looks like you must not be one with them. It looks like you must not be connected to them, because if you were really one with another person and you were really connected to another person, how could you suffer and nobody else could feel your suffering? So the purpose of suffering and sickness is to keep you from recognizing your oneness and your connection to everything and all that is. The purpose of sickness is to make the separation real. The purpose of sickness is to make you think you are a body. The purpose of sickness is to make you think you're separate from God, separate from oneness, and separate from love. That is the idea behind all sickness, all lack, all unhappiness in any form. It is a trick to make you think that you could not possibly be this powerful being, this loving being that the Course in Miracles tells you that you are. So sickness, which is a form of not right-mindedness, which is a form of separation, sickness gives the body final power to make your sense of being separate real. It looks like your mind, it looks like you are in a solitary prison. It looks like I'm feeling bad. Let's say that I have an upset stomach, right? And I'm feeling this pain from the upset stomach. Nobody else is feeling the pain from the upset stomach but me. I feel the pain in the stomach. It makes me believe I am the body with the pain in the stomach. It looks like I am a mind. I'm a being that thinks. So it looks like I am a mind, or I have a mind. Where is that mind? In what the Course calls solitary prison. The Course of Miracles is a trip. Another term for the body is solitary prison. The body is a solitary prison. It looks like you are inside a body that you can't get out of. So another term for the body is solitary prison. So from A Course in Miracles perspective, you are in solitary. Every one of us, we are in a prison, the body, and we are the only one in the body. So we are in solitary. So when you're feeling pain and you're feeling suffering, it looks like you're feeling something that nobody else is feeling whatsoever. Doesn't that support the idea that you must be separate and alone and isolated? Doesn't it look like you are inside your body? Doesn't it look like you're inside your body and that you are separate from everyone else? Doesn't it look like you can feel stuff that nobody else around you is feeling? Like you could have a headache and no one else would even know you had a headache because they aren't feeling the headache, right? So the sickness or the pain is making you feel separate from everyone else. And it looks like you are going through some type of suffering that nobody else is going through. It looks like you are inside the body and that the body is a solitary prison. And notice that sentence, it says, sickness gives the body final power to make the separation real and keep the mind in solitary prison, the body, split apart and held in pieces by a solid wall of sickened flesh, which the mind cannot surmount. So it looks like there's me and then there's my body that's feeling sick. So it looks like I'm in this solitary prison called the body, and it looks like I'm inside this solid wall of aching flesh, which it looks like I can't surmount. Did y'all notice that that was only 2 paragraphs? Did you all hear all the stuff that I just said from just covering 2 paragraphs? If you were to just be able to say what I just said in your own words, your mind would be healed. So if you want to be, so what was it that we heard in the first 2 paragraphs? Because it's really about remembering. I'm your divine remembering coach. I am your remembering coach. I'm here to help you remember the truth. I'm here to remember the truth. And I'm also a repetition teacher, because the Course in Miracles teaches that it's through repetition that you accept new ideas, not through analyzing, but through repetition. So let me see. Let me see if I can remember what it was saying. It was saying the first thing that you need to do if you want a healing in any situation that you're in, the first thing that I need to realize is that when I'm healed, I'm not healed alone. That I'm not going to be the only one that's healed. When I am finally healed and happy, I'm not going to be the only one healed and happy. So whenever I let myself have happiness and peace and health and healing, that it also benefits everybody else. So your happiness and your healing, it also helps others heal. When you are healed, you're not healed alone. Another reason why when you're healed, you're not healed alone is because if we are one with each other, and you and I are connected to each other, and it's only our bodies and our ego, our personality, our self-concept that makes us think we're separate from each other. But we're really one self united with God. You and I are really part of the same being. You and I are the same being. You and I are the same being. It's only our bodies and our perception and our ego, which is our past learning, that makes us think we're separate from each other. So if I want to heal, I need to realize, now just pretend it's just between me and you. We're having a one-on-one right now, okay? So when I'm healed, you are going to be healed. And when you heal, I'm going to be healed. Because when we are healed, we're not healed alone. Now that's the first thought that we want to have if we want to have a healing in any area. Now, what is a real healing thought? Well, a real healing thought is going to be the opposite of what the world teaches you. The world teaches you that illness comes from something outside your own mind that happens to you from the outside. The world always teaches that the solution to anything is always something you do on the outside, more so than something you do on the inside. So healing is the opposite of the ideas that the world teaches, that the ego teaches. Then it tells us what the ideas are that the world teaches. So what are the ideas that the world teaches? Well, the world teaches you to dwell on your sickness and your unhappiness. The world teaches you to dwell on the fact that you are separate and I'm separate and we're separate from each other and we're separate from everybody. So what is sickness? It really is a retreat, because you don't feel like joining when you're sick and when you're unhappy. So when you're sick and when you're unhappy, you feel real separate and you feel real isolated and you feel alone. So whenever you feel separate, isolated, and alone, you are actually thinking the thoughts that make sickness and lack and unhappiness and loneliness. All of those things come from believing that you are a self that is separate and different from everybody else, and that you are isolated and alone. So when people think they're isolated and alone, that is the thought that makes sickness. So what is sickness? Sickness is isolation. It makes you feel like you are apart from everybody else. When you're sick and when you're unhappy, what else does it do? It makes you feel like you are suffering and going through something that nobody else is going through. Have you ever had that feeling that you're going through something and it doesn't look like anybody else is going through what you're going through? If any of you all have ever been sick and you've gotten some type of a diagnosis about something that was going on in your body, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Because you feel like, you got this illness or disease or sickness or whatever's going on in your body, and it feels like you are suffering from it, but nobody else is suffering. You're going through that pain, but nobody else is going through that pain. Well, that makes you believe that you're separate. That makes you believe that you're separate from God. That makes you feel like you're separate from everything. Everybody else seems to be having a great time and feeling good. I feel like crap. So how could I be one with the happy people when I'm a miserable person? And I'm angry and upset about something. I'm experiencing a lot of lack. All of those things, all problems at the physical level are attempts of your ego to make you think you are separate and apart and different from God and from everybody around you. Another thing, if you're full of anger, guilt, grievances, and pain and separation, how could you possibly be a divine, unlimited spiritual being? The Course in Miracles is saying that you are an extension of God, that you are an extension of the divine. And are you aware that the Course in Miracles defines the divine as something that's invulnerable, something that can never be hurt, something that is all love, something that is eternal, that never ends, that feels joy beyond our comprehension? You don't feel that way. You're constipated. You're looking for some X-lax. So how could you be God? You know what I mean? So the purpose of sickness and the purpose of pain is to make us believe we are the body. So I'm inside of this body. So I look like I'm in this solitary prison. And it looks like I have this wall of sickened flesh that I can't surmount. So that was me going back through 1 and 2. Paragraph 1 and paragraph 2 again. Notice how whenever I repeat it and go back through it, you probably hear it better than you did the first time, okay? So let's go to paragraph 3. The Course in Miracles I call the Course in Miracles the joke book from God. Because when you listen to the Course in Miracles, and you listen to it just letting go of the idea that you need to believe it, accept it, and welcome it, and you go ahead and accept that some of the stuff that it says is going to sound outrageous to you, and some of it you're just not going to believe, and you're going to want to resist it, and you're going to be tempted to analyze it, but analyzing is not going to work. What's going to work is going to be using the ideas, because when you finally apply the beliefs of the Course in Miracles and the thoughts of the Course in Miracles, and then you see it work, then you'll know the Course in Miracles is true, and then you'll start to practice it more. Because you can't really think about it, you can't really deny what the Course in Miracles has already told us. When you feel sick, when you feel miserable, when you feel unhappy, when you're in pain, when you feel lonely, when you feel broke, when you feel separate from God, you feel isolated. You don't believe in this oneness stuff. It doesn't look like this oneness stuff is true when you're going through something that nobody else is going through. So what is it that the Course is trying to get us to recognize? that it's all a trick of your ego. It's a trick of the part of your mind that wants to be separate. There's a part of your mind that thinks it's separate. There's a part of your mind that wants to be separate. There's a part of your mind that thinks it's separate. There's a part of your mind that thinks you are a body. There's a part of your mind that's forgotten that you're more than a body. There's a part of your mind called the ego, which is your self-concept, the concepts of yourself that you learned from the world about who you are, your concept of yourself that you learned from the world about who you are. The Course calls that the ego, that part of you that is totally identified with your physical human identity. That part of you is trying to prove that it is all you are, is this separate physical body, through sickness and pain and unhappiness, because sickness, pain, and unhappiness makes you feel isolated, makes you feel like you're not joined and connected, and that's where sickness comes from. That's the purpose of sickness and pain and unhappiness. That's what causes it. When you are healed, you are not healed alone. That is the thought that will give you healing. Healing is the opposite of all the world's ideas, which dwell on sickness and on separate states. Sickness is a retreat from others. Sickness is a shutting off of joining. Sickness becomes a door that closes on a separate self. Sickness keeps you feeling isolated and alone. Sickness is isolation. Sickness is isolation. Sickness seems to keep you apart from all the rest. Sickness seems to keep you suffering what others do not feel. Sickness makes you think you are feeling what others don't feel. Sickness gives the power. Sickness gives the body. Sickness gives the body final power to make the separation real. Sickness gives the body the final power to make you think the separation is real. Sickness and unhappiness and pain keeps your mind in solitary prison. The body is a solitary prison. The body is a solitary prison because it makes you forget that you are mind, consciousness, spirit, and awareness. And you are not limited to the body. You are mind, consciousness, awareness, and spirit. But sickness and separation makes you think that you are in this solitary prison, this prison of the mind called the body. So the Course says that the body is a prison house for the mind, for your spirit and who you are. So how do you see the body correctly? See the body as a means of joining. See the body as a means of joining. See the body as a means of joining. Use your body. Use your body. Use your body for extension. Use your body for connection. Use your body for connection. Use your body for extension. Use your body for communication. Use your body for joining minds. Use your body for joining hearts. When you use your body for a brand new purpose, when you use your body for joining, as opposed to using your body for separation, that is the correct use of the body. And the correct use of the body will heal the body. Using the body correctly will heal the body. Using the body correctly will heal the body. So what does the world obey? Well, the world obeys the laws of sickness. What the world teaches us actually makes us sick. All that constant negativity and focus on differences and separation and comparison and attack and judgment, all the things that we see in the world that makes us feel afraid, those things serve the laws that cause sickness. So healing has to operate separate from all the laws or rules that the world teaches. So if you're ever going to have real healing, if you're ever going to have real love and real happiness, you must start obeying the laws of love, the laws of the truth, the laws and rules that the Course in Miracles teaches us. Because when you listen to the rules that your fearful mind obeys, when you listen to the part of your mind that feels guilty and afraid and separate, when you listen to the part of you that has grievances, then do you know when you do that, you are making the body sick, or you're creating lack, or you're creating challenges and unhappy relationships or career or whatever you're doing in this dream. When you obey anything that the fearful, guilty, angry world teaches you, then you are making yourself sick. But healing operates separate from what the world teaches. So what is it that is impossible? It's impossible that anyone be healed by themselves. As I accept the Course in Miracles and demonstrate the love and the peace that the Course in Miracles is teaching me to demonstrate, I'm not the only one that benefits from that. Other people benefit by how loving and peaceful that I'm attempting to be. And we have one mind. So don't you realize that if we have one mind, and don't you realize that if our minds are continuous and our minds are joined, your mind and my mind are connected, then that means when I accept love and healing in my mind, then that would also mean that it's bringing love and healing to your mind, because your mind is connected to my mind. So it would be impossible that you become saner without helping everybody else become saner. Like that line says, it is impossible that anyone be healed alone. But what does the next sentence say? In sickness, must the person be apart and separate. So sickness is the same as I feel separate. Sickness is the same as I feel separate. Lack is the same as I feel separate. Anger is the same as I feel separate. Specialness is the same as saying I feel separate. But what is your healing? What would be your healing? What would be my healing? Your healing would be your own decision. So healing is a decision. Your joy is a decision. The receiving the answer to this problem you're dealing with is a decision. But healing is whose decision? Healing is your decision. Your decision to do what? Healing is your decision to be one again. So how do you make that decision to be one again? I'm going to tell you how you make that decision to be one again. What does it mean to be one again? Well, look at the next part of the sentence. It says, but healing is his own decision to be one again and to accept himself with all its parts intact and unassailed. So hear that. When you decide to be one again, when me and you decide to be one again, when I decide to be one again, what I'm saying is, I accept myself with all my parts intact. Say that again. When you decide to be one again so that you can have healing thoughts again, it's simply you accepting yourself with all your parts intact. Say, I accept myself with all my parts intact. You accept yourself with all your parts intact. I accept myself with all my parts intact. That's you making the decision to be one again, to be one again. But what happens when you're in sickness? What happens when you're in lack? What happens when you are lonely? What happens when you're having all kinds of relationship issues or anything in the world that's making you feel discomfort in your body? Well, when you're in sickness, yourself appears to be dismembered. The Course in Miracles, sort of like Humpty Dumpty sat on the wall and had a great fall, and then he was broken into many different pieces. Well, use that analogy. That's what the Course is basically saying that we've done. That when you're sick and when you're feeling separate, then it means you've been dismembered. Because it looks like you have been cut off from the rest of the oneness. It feels like you've been cut off from that one self that we keep hearing about. Because you are sick and you are unhappy, or you're going through some type of illness or pain, or you're going through something that it looks like nobody else is going through. So it looks like you've been dismembered. It looks like you're without the unity that gives you life. When you feel angry and upset and unhappy about something, you feel like you are not united. You feel like you are without the unity that gives the self that you are life. So when is healing accomplished? So how do you accomplish healing? Those of you who are following along in the book, you see that I've just been going from sentence to sentence to sentence. And you see that the Course in Miracles explains itself very powerfully and very simply as it goes along. This is that material that maybe you've been tempted to say, oh, the Course in Miracles is so hard to read. It's so hard to understand. I know it can seem like that, but it seems like it's hard to understand because it's different. The Course in Miracles is not hard. It's just very different. It's saying things to us that's very different from what we've been taught by the world. And that's what makes it seem like it's hard to understand. Because if you try to do the Course from the part of your mind that believes everything that the world has taught you, the Course in Miracles would be difficult. But listen, when is healing accomplished? It says healing is accomplished as you see the body has no power to attack the universal oneness. No matter how much it looks like you're a body and you're in that body that looks like it goes through things that nobody else goes through, it still doesn't change the fact that we are still connected, that we are still joined, that we are still one self. You and I are still one being, no matter what's going on in the body, no matter what the body is feeling, whether it's feeling broke or happy or sad or lonely or sick, whatever your bodily identity is experiencing, it can't change the fact that you are spirit and that you are mind and that you are joined and we are joined. So you will accomplish healing. If you want to experience healing, then you just have to tell yourself and repeat to yourself until you accept it as true that your body cannot affect the fact that we are one and that you're one and joined and connected to all that is, that you are never alone, that you are loved, that you're connected to God, that you're connected to Source, that you're connected to Jesus of A Course in Miracles, that you are connected to the Creator. You're connected to all that is. There's nothing that's going on in your physical life. There's nothing that's going on in your thoughts, in your body, your sense of isolation or unhappiness that is going to attack the universal oneness of God's creation. This is the thought. This is the thought that can heal. As you'll notice, it's totally different from anything that the world would tell you. You're not going to turn on the news today and listen to a commercial on healing or sickness that's going to say, you are going to be healed, as you see that the body has no power to attack universal oneness. The body has no power to attack universal oneness. Whatever you're going through in your body, it doesn't change the fact that you have universal oneness. These are the thoughts that heal. These are the thoughts that heal. These are the thoughts that must be dwelled on instead of dwelling on thoughts of sickness in a separated state. So I'm going to do one last review and one last recap. I am a full-time teacher and I teach on a donation basis. And if you'd like to make a donation, you can use Venmo, you can use the Cash App, you can use PayPal, you can use Zelle. My email address is earlpurdy@earlpurdy.com. That's P-U-R-D-Y. earlpurdy@earlpurdy.com. And you can also go to my website, www.earlpurdy.com. And you can make a donation or make a financial expression of appreciation there. Thank you, thank you, thank you. If you would like to have a one-on-one with me, a one-on-one personal counseling, coaching session, and take advantage of my over 40 years experience of teaching and learning and counseling and using the Course in Miracles to help people go past problems and blocks that they're going through. I call them clarity sessions. If you'd like to have a one-on-one clarity session with me, go to my website, www.earlpurdy.com, and you can receive all the details. You'll see all the details about my sessions. And should you decide to have one, you can self-book a session, a personal one-on-one session with me right from my website. I would love to talk to you. I would love to be used as an instrument of healing and help for you. And for those who are open and receptive to it and have the correct perception of it, I also have skills as an astrologer and a numerologist. And that's also something else that I offer. Sundays at 1 p.m. Mountain Time on Facebook Live, I do another Course in Miracles on Facebook Live at 1 p.m. every Sunday, Mountain Standard Time, on the Earl Purdy page on Facebook. If you're in the Denver, Colorado area, you can attend this presentation in person as well as watch it online. So on Sundays, you can also attend if you're in the Denver area. And it's at 1555 Race Street. 1555 Race Street in Denver, Colorado. 80206 is the zip. 80206. I upload all of my classes to YouTube. So I have hundreds and hundreds of classes on YouTube. And I also have my classes on Facebook, so you can watch replays over and over again. And I also have my classes on my website. I'm just here to be truly helpful. That's why I'm here, to be truly helpful, to represent the Spirit who sent me. The Course says I don't have to worry about what to say, and I don't have to worry about what to do, because Spirit that sent me will direct me, and that I will be healed as I let Spirit teach me to heal. You will be healed as you let Holy Spirit, the higher mind, your sane self, teach you to heal. So we're going to go through this. We're going to go through this entire lesson, because if you just heard what it said today, it could change every situation that you think you're going through that causes you any kind of pain. So let's look at this paragraph again. It says, the world obeys the laws that sickness serves. That means the world obeys the laws that fear and pain serve. So what must you do if you want to have a healing? You have to recognize that healing doesn't operate according to the laws that the world obeys. Does that mean that you don't use external things in the world sometimes to help heal a situation? No, the Course says if you're not at the point that you can totally heal, allow yourself to be healed internally, that it's okay to temporarily depend on external healing methods, whether that's whatever you do on the outside to make in other words, whatever you need to do on the outside to make yourself feel better, that's okay, while you're learning how to heal from the inside. So I'm in no way saying don't continue to go to a doctor or do whatever it is that you need to do on the physical level to allow yourself to have healing. The Course in Miracles says sometimes the fear and the sickness can have such a deep hold on your mind that you can't heal yourself, allow yourself to be healed just through internal methods. So temporarily you have to focus on using external things. So that's okay. But that still doesn't stop us from telling ourselves the truth. And what is the truth? The truth is that the world obeys the laws that sickness serves. That if you want to have a healing, you're going to ultimately have to use the rules of love and the laws of truth instead of the laws of guilt and fear and separation. Another healing thought is the fact that whenever you are healed, you are not healed alone. Whenever you're healed, you are not healed alone. Whenever you're healed, you're not healed alone. Whenever you are healed, you are not healed alone. It's impossible that you be healed alone. But the purpose of sickness is to make you think that you are separate and apart from everybody else. The purpose of unhappiness is to make you think that you are not this one self that's connected to everyone else. The purpose of sickness is to make you think you're isolated and alone and that you're suffering things that other people are not suffering. So sickness is a trick. Unhappiness is a trick. Fear is a trick. Depression is a trick. Anger is a trick. Lack is a trick. Guilt is a trick. So it's not you're on a guilt trip. The truth is you're on a guilt trick. We don't do guilt trips. We're really doing guilt tricks. And the Course in Miracles teaches that guilt is the core idea behind any form of sickness or lack or unhappiness. So what is your healing? What is your healing? Your healing is your own decision to be one again. Your healing means that you're willing to accept yourself and with all your parts intact. Looking at yourself as still being connected to everyone and everything, even if it doesn't look like it, even if it looks like you are going through something right now and it looks like you're going through it by yourself. That's just to trick you into thinking that you are separate from everything and separate from everyone. Don't buy into it. Don't buy into it. Don't believe that you are separate even though it looks like. Don't believe that you're going through things all by yourself. Don't believe that you're going through things all by yourself. Don't believe that you're going through things all by yourself. You're not going through anything by yourself. So when is healing accomplished? Healing is accomplished when you see that your body has no power to attack the body has no power to attack your oneness. What you're going through in your body has no power to attack the truth. The truth is that you are not a body. You are free, for you are still as God created you. Spirit, you are not a body. You are free. You are still as love created you. You are still as oneness created you. So what is the thought that heals? What is the thought that heals? The thought that heals is this thought. When I am healed, I am not healed alone. Say that to yourself right now. Let's do it. When I am healed, I am not healed alone. When you are healed, you are not healed alone. When you are healed, you are not healed alone. When you are healed, you are not healed alone. When you are healed, you are not healed alone. You have to listen to this over and over again. Listen to it or watch it at least 4 times. It's through repetition that you change your mind. When you are healed, you are not going to be healed alone. When you become more sane and you become more loving and you become healthy and happy, you are not going to be the only one that benefits through your health and happiness. You are not the only one that benefits to when you're happy and you're experiencing love and abundance and oneness and peace. It's bringing that to everyone. Because when you are healed, you are not healed alone. When you are healed, you are not healed alone. When you are healed, you are not healed alone. When you are healed, you are not healed alone. When you are healed, you are not healed alone. 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 That's the central thought on which all healing rests. Mighty companion, thank you again for joining me. Earl Purdy, A Hardcore Course in Miracles. Take a deep breath right now. Let's bring it to completion. I look at all your comments and I appreciate them. And the reason why I keep doing this live is because we are all in real time, present time, experiencing this together, no matter where our bodies are physically located right now. And that's comforting to me. So don't be fooled any longer. Sickness is a defense, a plan to make you think that you are a body, and that the truth that says you are spirit and unlimited is not true. So sickness or unhappiness is a call for God. Sickness is a call for health. Sickness and unhappiness, lack is a call for abundance. Loneliness is a call for companionship. That's what it is. Sickness is a defense against the truth. And when you are healed, you are not healed alone. Mighty companion, may the course be with you. Love you.